everyone. We're about to begin our program. I would like to ask that everyone that is currently outside, if there is anyone that is outside, please make your way inside as we will begin shortly. As the master of ceremony and responsible for all the times, in fact, if I want to start 5 minutes, 10 minutes from now, I think I can. Okay, he didn't give me the eye. I was expecting the eye from him. But we're about to start. I'd like to give it at least another minute just to allow everyone to settle in, and then we can begin with the program. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think we're ready to start. Ladies and gentlemen, now anytime that I introduce myself, I like to do it in some poetry. I don't know if there's anyone that doesn't like poetry, just by a show of hands, and I won't do it. I'm kidding, I was always gonna do it because I'm invited here. So this one goes, I'm about to start something. Said, I'm about to stand toe to toe with impossible and go hard on nothing. No, you don't know me right now, but damn it, you're gonna love me for my ambition. You see, I'm starting something they keep telling me is impossible, but it's a dream that I have, a life that I want, a thing that I do. I've got naysayers standing in line to tell me I'm a fail. I say, I dare you to watch me fail 49 times and see what happens on try number 50. Ooh, I'm about to start something. Said, I'm about to stand toe to toe with impossible and go hard or nothing. What is this I impossible anyway? Oh, I'm sorry, impossible. The voice of one of my heroes screams constantly in my ear. Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dare. Impossible is potential, impossible is temporary, impossible is nothing. Thus my newfound confidence to say, I got this, listen. I do this because I want this because I need this because I breathe this because I understand that in order for me to live the life that I want to live, I must do what I have to do. I'm about to start something. Said, I'm about to stand toe to toe with impossible and go hard or nothing. I'm that new guy. I might not get it at the first time I try, but I'm that new inspiration. All my heroes are dead, it's on me now because I'm about to, no. I just started something. I'm standing toe to toe with impossible, I'm going hard, it's nothing. You see, I grew up to be told that your dream is too big, son. What you're doing has been done. No one gonna like you. The game is gonna chew you up and spit you out. I said, I'm ready. Step up, impossible. I'm Vuki Dlamini and I'm a bad mother. Shut your mouth. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the launch of the South African Youth Climate Innovation Award. At this time, I'd like to welcome all delegates and participants of the awards, our virtual attendees, as well as all the media personnel that are in attendance. I'd also like to recognize our special guests and speakers in attendance, Mr. Rez Kanju, Natanya Bota of Indalo Inclusive, Zinat Abdul of UNIC, Dr. Janita Badou of the Department of Environmental Affairs. I'd also like to welcome Ms. Mune Smith of UNDP, Youth Entrepreneur Lebogang Leshabane, Candice Pillay, a board member of Indalo, and His Excellency, as well as his entourage or the people representing him, the British High Commissioner, Mr. Anthony Phillipson. Please give all yourselves a round of applause. Even those of you who are sitting at home, it's worth it, just do it. Well done for being here. Thank you so much. So again, for all of our virtual guests, please do let us know where it is that you are attending from, whether it be your city, whether it be your town, whether, heck, it may even be the part of the room in which you are. Please just let us know where it is that you are texting from or where you are watching from. Please engage with us on the social media, in the Zoom or in the YouTube, wherever it is that you are watching from. Please send through your comments, send through some questions as we will be engaged in some conversation, some panel discussion, as well as some question and answer at a later stage. So as I said, my name is Vuki Dlamini. However, my full name is Sivugile Sizwe Sabaswati Esa Letuktula Kwa Dlamini. You say the whole thing, it's got apostrophes. Thank you very much. And it's been known, legend has it, that if you're trying to change the world, the first thing you need to know how to do is say my name or spell it out correctly, one way or another. So if at this point, really all you heard was Sivugile and then you got lost in everything else after that, I think we need to question whether or not you're going to change this life. But you know what? Let's stick to Vuki for the time being. I'm so excited to be your master of ceremony today. I'm so excited to be a part of the South African Youth Climate Innovation Awards. It's such a beautiful thing, that is happening right now. Before we continue any further, I'd just like for us to establish some house rules. We would like to request that you please keep your phones on silent. I know that this is one that we tend to forget, and the music comes out loud, Gombikir. And then I'd like to also advise that restrooms, as you go down the stairs, so you sort of go down the stairs and then you make a circulation or sort of like a U-turn, you should be able to see where the restrooms are. The restrooms, for all those who are at home, is the first door to your left, usually, I'd like to think. I'd like to also say, could we also please respect the speaker? Could we please also just always allow for them to finish? And please, let us engage. Let us please engage as much as we can here as we sit, should there be any question, whether it's the wrong answer. I'd really love for us to engage as much as possible. As said, we will have a panel discussion where there will be a roaming mic where there are questions. I will be there just with the roaming mic and just to answer to take those questions of yours. At this time, I would like for us to have a look at the Mentimeter. Can we have a look at the, okay. All right, so we've already got some responses, but I would like for you to look at the Mentimeter, and the link for all of you who are watching at home or for all of you who are watching elsewhere outside of home, you can just go to www.menti.com. That is correct, right? Menti.com. That's www.menti, not double E, menti.com. Your code there will be 55935616. So that's 55935616. Okay, so let's just engage as much as we can. As you can see, the first question, this is the first question, yes? So the first question is, how are you feeling today? How are you feeling today? I'm hoping not bored after the poetic piece that I just delivered. Even I was impressed with myself at that. Okay, so how are you feeling today? Could you please just give us some responses? I'll give us about 10 seconds. Just 10 seconds as you are engaging for us to take a look at the Mentimeter and just have you all engaged, sign in or register and make those inputs. I hope we're getting some inputs. I hope, 3, here we go, we're going up. Not too sure, I got 1 for not too sure, I got 0 for not too sure, I got pretty good, I got 1 for pretty good, I got optimistic, so 3 is going up, no, it's not going up, no, it's not going up, we got to energize, we're going to need more people that are energized. I think I need to say another poem. There we go, happy it's Friday. I think we're going a little bit higher up, it's happy it's Friday. My microphone is not cooperating because I'm saying a lot of things. There we go, pretty good is always good. Thank you very much. We're hoping that you guys can continue just to participate in the Mentimeter as well. I think we can move on to the next question, which is, where are you connecting from today? As I had said, please feel free to just let us know where it is that you are connecting from. Just give us those answers and just let us know where it is, which part of the world it is that you are connecting from, We're quite a big deal in Dalo, so I'd like to think that we've got people in the UK and stuff, and we've got people in the United States of Africa and America. So, don't be afraid to let us know where your couch is situated if you are sitting at home at this point. Okay, so we got Mbombela, we got Johannesburg, Mali, well done. Hello, Bella, Cape Town. We got Lusaka, there we go, we got some more, we got Bella, we got Mali, we got Lusaka, we got Pretoria that just came in. So we've got a whole host of locations where people are watching us from, and we are so excited to have you. Wait. Who? Come on. Ferry Glen, you should have come here. You should have come here, Ferry Glen. You should be here, okay? Who else? Let's just wait for about 2 more or 1 more. But absolutely, thank you so much for joining us. I think we've got 1 more. You can just keep telling us where it is that you are coming from. And the next and final question is, what organization do you represent? Which organization do you represent? So as you are as well yourself, you can just pick up your phone, you can register, you can go online, and then you can let us know which organization it is that you are from. So that's www.menti.com with the code 55935616. I don't mean to disrespect you by saying it this many times. I know how many incredibly smart people are sitting in this room, but it's just for me to remember, because yikes. Okay, so what organization? We got MG Indalo, Gender CC Southern Africa, we got SA Innovation Summit, we got Tiger Fund Trading Pty Ltd, Africa Yetu. Thank you so much for joining us. All these organizations that are joining us, we got more. We got Lawton's, I think I'm saying it correctly, Lawton's Africa, we got HYBI Hyper, I think. Who else? Capstone Training and Development. We've got more. We've got Intel Minds. We recognize you, Intel Minds. We recognize you, Government MP Darlea. I think I can't see that properly. It's in yellow. But welcome indeed to each and every one of you. Once again, like I said, welcome. I think we can be done with the Mentimeter for the time being. We are going to get into a Mentimeter once again, just to see where, just to get another gauge of where we are with our participants and our attendees that are watching from the comfort of their homes, I think. Some of them might be driving, but I hope we'll hear from them as well. No, don't text and drive, actually. Don't do it. So, once again, welcome to the South African Youth Climate Innovation Awards. Now, these awards aim to showcase and recognize 26 youth innovative and entrepreneurial solutions to tackle the greatest climate and environmental challenges of our time, under the theme #OneStepGreener_SA. So that's #OneStepGreener_SA. So again, as you are texting, as you are letting people know what they are missing out on by not being at this venue or by not being beside you on the couch as you are watching, wherever it is that you are watching from, please, as you post this event, be it on social media, whichever social media you're using, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, as you post, as we leave, as we go out and we socialize, as you post your images, as you post your updates, please use the #OneStepGreener_SA. Now, I said that we're celebrating 26 youth's innovative and entrepreneurial efforts where climate change is concerned. The number 26 currently carries some heavy significance considering what is happening in the world, and especially where climate change and environmental affairs are concerned. Can anyone tell me what that is? The number 26 this year, something is happening with you, all right? The next person to answer this correctly, so you've got that correctly, right? It's COP26. What is COP26? Who can tell me what the COP in COP26 stands for? Whoever gets it correctly, I've got 100 Rand in my pockets. I don't think you can answer though. I'm not parting ways with my $100 just like that. You look like you knew you came here having studied that answer. Conference of the Parties, which is taking place in Glasgow over the next month, starting as of the 31st of October. Is that correct? It's starting on the 31st of October, and this is pretty much where every year the world comes together to negotiate a coordinated response, to climate change. And this year it's in its 26th edition, having started in 1994. So without further ado, I'd like to kickstart, this program. As you can see it behind me, You've got myself, MC Sivugile Sizu Samaswati Saletuktula Badlamini. I can't even say with a straight face anymore. It's been a while. I've had it for 31 years. I'm still not getting used to it. And, you know, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker. So, this man who goes by the name Rest Kanju is the founder and chair of Indalo Inclusive South Africa. He currently serves as executive director and head of operations for the organization. His passion is in inclusive and responsible business with a particular interest in the tourism and green economy. Now, Rest is recognized as a thought leader in the field of social and green entrepreneurship and serves various government committees, including Adaptive Capacity Facility Projects Advisory Committee to the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, Steering Committee member of the Ecosystem Development for Small Enterprises of the European Commission funded Department of Small Business Development, DBSD, and a member of the Advisory Committee and Business Development Services Task Team of the Services CETA Enterprise and Cooperative Development Institutes. Without further ado, please let us welcome Mr. Rest. Let's give him a round of applause, please.
I'm sitting there cringing because I don't know who gave you that, where I Googled it, and I asked that it must not be said. So, thank you very much. Good afternoon. Wow. Good afternoon. For a second, I felt like it's National Don't Say Hello to Rest Day. So, thank you so much. Good afternoon and welcome to this launch. We're very excited. I don't know what the story with the mic is. Maybe the sound guys can help us. So we're excited this afternoon to be part of this launch. We are very honored. We're very grateful to our partners, the British High Commission. These awards that Vuki talked about touch on two imperatives, and that is one of redressing the economic exclusion of youth and the other of rebuilding the environment with sustainable green economic development. The eminence of the speakers that we have this afternoon in the program, as you see on your table, bear testimony to the importance of this developmental goal. I would like to, ladies and gentlemen, welcome our partners, the British High Commission and the Mail and Guardian as the official media partner, as well as everyone who's made themselves available to attend this event, whether in person and those that are joining us online. Your contribution to this engagement is instrumental for us, and it's welcome and greatly appreciated. Also joining us today, on behalf of the Ndebele Kingdom, Her Royal Highness Princess Kitumile Mabena, you are welcome. I also want to recognize His Excellency, the High Commissioner of the British High Commission to South Africa, Mr. Anthony Phillipson, and his colleagues that are here. I also want to welcome our partners and colleagues from the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, specifically Dr. Janita Badou. Thank you so much for coming. We also want to welcome our colleagues from the UNDP, Simon Smith. Thank you so much for being here. I also welcome those that are joining us online. I won't be able to mention all of you by name and organization, but I don't want to forget our partners, the Old Mutual Foundation, Nedbank Foundation, the Government of Flanders, the EU, GIZ, and others that are joining us online. We hope to engage with each and every one of you, and please feel free to ask questions during the Q&A session as Vuki has explained. Ladies and gentlemen, undoubtedly, it is the youth of South Africa that are one of the most vulnerable groups of our society, and particularly they are the ones who have to bear the brunt of the economic and social dislocation created by the pandemic and the unemployment, poverty, inequality, and inequality. It is these citizens who are still facing the harsh realities of the economic downturn. And so, as we gather here today and as we launch this event and this very interesting project, the question that arises in my mind is how are we going to move young people from a situation where they are as recipients of welfare and support to a situation where indeed they gain meaningful opportunities for economic participation. If we aspire, ladies and gentlemen, for a greener and better future, if we agree also that our youth carry the hope for the future, then I think it's appropriate that we heavily invest in them. We generally have considered as a society that the current state of environment, the economy and society we find ourselves in today is not one that will take us to the future, nor a future that we want to leave for our kids and our grandkids. The one quick question also that I think we ought to constantly ask ourselves is, how did we get here? Let us just say, on average, it takes between 20 to 25 years from birth for an individual to become economically productive or be part of a gainful working environment or working full-time. And if we assume that these people and these young people who are born at that time 25 years ago will need to work at companies that will at least have been in existence for at least 5 years, we therefore ordinarily will require a period of at least 25 to 30 years to change both societal and economic mindsets that will produce a type of a job or a future that we all desire. Most importantly, we believe that it would require a critical mass of individuals and companies that will choose and be supported to innovate the pyramid as not just customers but suppliers of goods and services in green technologies value chains is possible. However, to reach and touch this future, we ought to have a combination of both systematic and technical investments across various sectors of the economy, including but not limited to the eco-inclusive and climate-smart entrepreneurship, and more importantly, we need to do these investments among our young people. If we consider at Indalo, for example, 2021 as a good year, wherein we've had a total of 9 cohorts or 9 call for applications for innovations in various sectors, including tourism, food waste and loss, climate adaptation, green economy, biodiversity and wildlife, and the just transitions. And working with various partners and donors, some of those that I've already mentioned. If 2021 indeed was a good year, I ask myself all the time a question: why do we still struggle to receive applications and innovations that will take us to a future that which we aspire for, a future that is greener and sustainable for our society and economics? If I challenge each and every one of us here, ladies and gentlemen, ask a very simple question: what do we think the future of the economy and society will look like 10 to 20 years from now? The answer that I will get, especially after having been impacted by COVID-19, I'm sure the kind of answers I'll get are the following: no need for office space anymore. Technology will help us become more productive. The types of energy and fuel we use today will have to be changed completely. Food consumption patterns will have changed. In fact, we can also say the nature of worship will have changed completely. We also can boldly say that the nature in which we do schooling would have changed. We also may also say there will no longer be rural areas. What else? I'm sure you have a long list of things that could possibly happen. Perhaps one more time, let me ask, if most of our populations live in rural areas, affected by and are vulnerable to climate change impacts, and if we have an employment rate that is knocking at 40%, I think we can all agree that these issues that I've just mentioned now are technical, complex, and difficult to solve, but they cannot be allowed to become obstacles, much less excuses, that prevent us, most especially, from achieving the overall goals of sustainability and a green and better economy for South Africa. We cannot hide behind these technicalities. When so much is at stake, we need to adapt so that we quickly face the we don't face the risk of extinction as a human race. I've read a statement recently that hit me, and it hit my reality. And I quote, someone said, "You will die of old age, but we as young people will die of climate change." This just hit home, and I realized that even if we think we are doing good, even if we think we are having an impact, even if we think we can go to bed tonight peacefully because we are creating opportunities for young people, ladies and gentlemen, the reality is that we are not doing enough. We cannot rest. We must forge ahead with high pace of acceleration to ensure that we give the youth of South Africa, a chance of survival. The South African Youth Climate Change Award Program that we're launching here today, is supported by the British High Commission in Pretoria, is primarily aimed at raising awareness and exposure among young people about the possibilities of entrepreneurial opportunities in the eco-inclusive space that will help solve, whether mitigate or adapt to climate change crisis. I always say that we can only innovate to the levels of our exposure. And this awards program itself aims to really expose our young people to the endless opportunities that exist in our society. At a very short space of time, we have received such immense goodwill from various partners who believe in this cause. Apart from the British High Commission, the Maiden Guardian, and DFFE, UNDP, and other people, we are very excited, ladies and gentlemen, that a number of people came in and became part of a reference group that we've just recently set up. And the inputs that we've received from them are really immense and recognizable. And for that, we thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude what we've started here today, we believe it's a movement. It's something that we cannot afford to just do it once and leave it here. If we are to truly make a transition towards a cleaner, green, and more sustainable future, if we are to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement and ultimately protect human life on the planet, we need to even more and wide-ranging implement comprehensive financial support programs for developing nations to address climate change. This is, in fact, a collective decision we must make, and it moves away from self-interest. We need to already and immediately start talking about COP27, which will take place in the African continent in 2022. We now need to talk about investing intensive support to these innovations that we'll identify through this program, and then take them to showcase their success next year in 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you, and I thank you.
Thank you so much once again to Mr. Rest Kanju. You know, as you're speaking Rest, I'm just thinking about how my relationship with Indalo Inclusive, the nature of my relationship with Indalo Inclusive, what it's always been, the way that it started, it's always been, Vuki, we need you to write something for us, right? We need you to create something, around climate change or eco-inclusivity, and around the environment and entrepreneurship in that space, you know? And I remember the first time, or the first few times that I did this, honestly, what happens in my head, or my facial expression the entire time as I was looking on my phone, because, I take the job because, well, I mean, they're paying, first and foremost. And it was a challenge for me. It was something that I knew absolutely close to zero about, because it's not something that we are readily exposed to. You don't know what is happening in the outside world as it's happening until you are exposed to that information. As you said, Uguti, we can only innovate to the level of our exposure. And I think that is such an important line, to say we need to be those innovators and those pioneers that are responsible for, even sometimes aggressively, because Rest says that it can't be a once-off thing. This needs to be a movement. So as it is a launch, it has to be annual. Every single year we have to do something like this. Every single year we have to have participants that are bringing in their innovation where, where climate innovation is concerned. And every single year we are doing something to be those participants and to be those voices that speak up, so people like me with the influence, I'm actually quite famous, but it's okay in my spheres. It's people like me that are responsible for carrying out these messages, not just because we are paid to do it, but also because of the amount of information that we realize we don't know as we are researching the content that we are supposed to deliver. And that's when you realize that, slowly you have to get yourself to a point where you are empowering yourself to meet the likes of Indalo Inclusive as they empower us. So thank you so much for those words, Mr. Rest. I'd like to go on then to our next speaker. If I'm not mistaken, Dr. Janita Badou is not in here, and is she here? Oh, she is here. It's because you were trying to take my $100. I'm not going to. So, Dr. Janita Badou is a senior manager at the Department of Environmental Affairs and has been with the department since February 2003. Her professional experience is on green economy project planning and implementation across spheres of government and in collaboration with United Nations and country donor partners, coordination of events, greening programs, including the 2010 FIFA World Cup. Where were you when I needed those tickets? My goodness. As well as the UNFCCC COP17 meeting and coordination of the National Green Fund program. Whew, you're special. You're all special. When I read your profiles, each and every one of you are so special. Dr. Janita holds a PhD in plant pathology from the University of Durban, Westville, a Bachelor of Arts degree in environmental management, a postgraduate certificate in education from the University of South Africa, an exclusive certificate in environmental governance, a graduate from the Institute of International and Development Studies in Geneva, Switzerland. Our keynote speaker, it is Switzerland, right? You changed your face like I'm not talking the right things here. So, her keynote speech on imperatives for youth entrepreneurship, a perspective from the government's youth driving force for change. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Dr. Janita Badou.
Thank you, Program Director, for that glowing introduction. Some of it seems so far away since I read my CV last. Nonetheless, good afternoon to you, and I would like to also acknowledge Rest Kanju from Indalo Inclusive on this momentous occasion of the official launch of the South African Youth Climate Innovation Awards, together with the partners, the British High Commission, and my understanding is that Funzo Madao is standing in for the British High Commissioner. Also the media partner, the Mail and Guardian. So thank you for joining hands with both the public and the private sector in promoting this momentous event. So in providing a perspective of what the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment has done to date in supporting youth, I mean, on an ongoing basis, we do have we have programs across the different sector departments which tend to focus on youth as well as women and people with disabilities in promoting these vulnerable groups on an ongoing basis. But more specifically, last year on the 16th of June, which is the National Youth Day in South Africa, our Minister Barbara Creasy, officially launched the Driving Force for Change Youth Initiative. And this was done with a number of partners, including the British High Commission, who were one of the first partners to join us in the effort. We also had the European Union and the GIZ with Indalo Inclusive as the technical partner supporting the initiative through the SPIPA program. including the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, as well as the International Labour Organization. So there were quite a few partners who partnered with the department in officially launching the initiative, as well as ensuring that we reached a successful conclusion. And we have one of the beneficiaries from last year's initiative on the program this afternoon. It's Lebokang Rashibane. We've just recently completed the business planning process and certainly have wished him well in his future successes. So good to have you here because you bear testament to the efforts that we put together last year. So in total, we supported 13 youth enterprises, and this year we decided to embark on the process again. And likewise, we also have a number of partners who've joined hands with us. This year's effort has been in collaboration with the Partnership for Action on the Green Economy. It is a global program and has 20 countries participating in the program. So South Africa is one of those 20 countries. We also have support which we've received from the GIZ, but I'll elaborate further on some of the new initiatives that we are also undertaking. Now, in view of the fact that the entire world is focusing on what's going to unfold in Glasgow, given that last year there was no COP hosted as a result of COVID, COVID has helped us, COVID-19 has helped us to also see the fault lines within the societies that we live in across the world. And one of it has been on unemployment, economic downturn, which has been on the downward spin for some time, especially for South Africa. But nonetheless, with COVID-19, the impact just widened to an extent wherein we are currently on level 1 lockdown. It requires for all of us to actually join hands in ensuring that we can actually find our way out of it on a positive note. But the third area, in addition to climate change, which is the current focus, has been on education. Many children across the world have not even been back to school. And one of those fault lines has emerged as a result of COVID-19, showing that many schools are not necessarily prepared to actually transition to a virtual platform when it comes to schooling. And the topic for this afternoon, obviously the focus of the spotlight being on youth, we have to realize that 2 years has cost us quite a bit, and we'll only see the damage as a result of these 2 years in probably the next 10 to 15 years. The impact of it, if we are not able to emerge successfully out of it, is obviously going to be on a downward spin for some time before we are able to realize how to mend our ways. And hopefully, COP26 is going to be setting ambitious targets, both for developed and developing countries, in ensuring that we are able to address these issues that we face as a collective. That being said, this year we launched the second phase of the Driving Force for Change initiative, and this year we called it the challenge. And the reason for it is because we specifically focused on enterprises, youth enterprises, in assisting them to actually get out of the rut that they have found themselves in, and in promoting gender as well. We're currently at the process or the stage at which we are currently evaluating these proposals which we received, and hopefully we will be able to support 18 successful winners, and this announcement will take place towards the latter part of November or at the beginning of December this year. The intention as well is to provide them with technical support and expertise. And you must be wondering why the emphasis on technical support and expertise, and why not provision of grant finances or seed finances to actually get them out of the rut in which they find themselves. But from our one-on-one interactions with the youth during August and September this year, what we found was that many of the youth are basically learning by doing. They want to get into business, they don't necessarily understand how to get into business. And in order to make a success of it, you have to have the business acumen skill sets to actually give you the edge. So that was the intention of the program last year and as well as this year. In addition, we have another initiative which will be coming along soon, as in the next week's time. We've already officially announced it, and that is a virtual training on business acumen skill sets. And REST, being the technical provider for the DFC1, would also, together with his team, will also attest to it, that there are many business acumen skill set gaps which we've identified within the youth itself in trying to actually establish their enterprises and get it going so that it can be profitable at the end of the day. Now, why are we targeting the youth? Not that they are the future leaders of the world. It's also because they have the potential to demonstrate, once they've demonstrated their successes, they have the potential to also create employment for others. Noting that in South Africa, we're sitting with a high unemployment rate, especially amongst the youth. And if we are able to strategically guide them and capacitate them, not only as future leaders, but as future businesses would undertaking their businesses in a responsible manner, in the future, they may see themselves as medium to large enterprises. And it should be informed by ensuring that their business practices are energy efficient, water efficient, basically resource efficient at the end of the day. And this is where the focus of the COP26 meeting will also provide some perspective in increasing ambition around adaptation. What would the targets be being set by both developed as well as developing countries? And we've just recently come out of the UN Biodiversity COP, and one of the keynote, I wouldn't say speakers, but one of the key emphasis was placed on what's the economics of biodiversity and how is it that we could actually address this. And this was actually put out by an expert, Professor Das Gupta, who's a British economist, and he indicated that if we had to, as a collective, both developed and developing countries, start to set up a fund equivalent to how the World Bank has been set up, we could actually ensure that our biodiversity is conserved for future generations. And I don't need to necessarily quote the Constitution, which clearly indicates that everyone has the right to an environment that is free from pollution, and also we need to protect it for future generations. So our duty as the current generation, we have to ensure that we put in place strategic interventions to ensure that we are, at the end of the day, doing right by the future, for future generations. Now, on the third initiative which I mentioned, we will be embarking on a training program for youth, and hopefully we'll be able to address some of these gaps which they are currently experiencing. One of the key areas that we will also be providing focus on is on climate change, the green economy, and basically demystifying what these concepts which seem to be ringing in the mind but not necessarily connecting the dots with regard to how does it actually relate to me as well as an individual. Secondly, how does it relate to my business practices on a daily basis? What impact does my business footprint actually have on the environment? So if we are to actually strategically demonstrate to them that actually your activities on a daily basis requires the use of resources, and it depends on whether you do this efficiently or abuse the natural resources which are at your disposal. This then informs how they price their commodities as well, and this takes into consideration responsible business practices. So I don't necessarily want to belabor the point. I think I've spoken sufficiently to convey the message that the youth are definitely in the spotlight because they have a huge potential. They're sitting on a mountain of ideas which probably, if given a chance, which this particular award, which has been, is being launched today, is providing them with a platform that enables them to actually take advantage of it and demonstrate what the potential of their innovation is. Whether it's going to be a success will be determined by the extent of support that they are given to actually breathe life into these ideas and subsequently demonstrate this proof of concept. Lebogang is shaking his head because he knows some of the hurdles he had to go through in with us consulting with him on a regular basis, in ensuring that we also convey and provide him with the strategic guidance and direction that he required. And I'm hoping that it was appreciated. At times quite frustrating because not able to see the points that we are making versus the points that youth are making. I think on one final point which I'd like to indicate is the youth are very ambitious. They want to do everything at once. And we've had to ask them to actually slow down. You need to do it one step at a time in order to ensure that you want to make a success of your business. You can't do everything at once. So with that being said, let me leave you to the rest of the program director. And just to note that you have another 3 years before you exit the youth category. So if you're deciding to take advantage of the Youth Innovation Awards, you've got to start right now. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. And we do hope that, you know, these initiatives by the department really help inform, empower, and will adequately invest in the youth. I'm an old man. I'm a dopey. You know, I look fresh, but I'm quite an old man. So I'd like to move on with the program. Please, if I may introduce the next speaker, which is Janita Badou for Race the Game for Climate Change. Janita Badou is the National Information Officer at the UN Information Center in Pretoria. She's been with the UN in South Africa for the past 6 years, working on their various campaigns and being the link between the media and the UN in South Africa. Please, let's fix our eyes on the screen, if I'm not mistaken. Welcome. We are fixing our eyes on the screen, yes? Thank you so much. She is with us. Welcome, Zina. If I could just interrupt you, please, Zinat. I don't know if the issue is on our side or if you are muted. I don't know how we can communicate with her as a team just to let her know. We're just experiencing a bit of technical difficulties, Zinat, but we are working on it for you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Can we go ahead?
Okay. Can you hear me?
We're good to go. Thank you so much. You may proceed.
Okay. Thank you so much, and apologies, and thank you for your patience as well. Good afternoon, everyone, members of Indalo Inclusive, the British High Commission, our media partner, the Mail and Guardian, fellow colleagues from the United Nations family, the Department of Environmental Affairs, all of you joining us physically and remotely as well. Thank you very much for providing the United Nations with a platform to share the work that we have been doing on climate change, especially with youth. Now, as you're all aware, COP26 begins on Sunday, and I hope that we can have a conference of parties that come together to agree on outcomes that can help us to ensure that this planet, the only one that we have, remains habitable and sustainable for us and for generations to come. Climate change is not a new phenomenon. We've been raising alarm bells for 26 years. That's how long COPs have been taking place. When the first COP was held in Bonn, Germany in 1995. And today I want to tell you about a fairly new initiative launched on the 29th of July and driven by the United Nations South Africa Office and Purpose. It's called Raise the Game for Climate Change. I don't know if you have my presentation. Thank you very much. Yes, I see it. Okay, brilliant. So the campaign is focused on different geographical areas across South Africa facing the biggest threats from climate change, and brings individuals, civil society, and SMEs that are already working towards a sustainable economy to the center of the discussion, with local and provincial governments to showcase how the transition is already happening, and to elevate the calls for ambitious climate goals. So we are trying to amplify their voices, share their stories, and get communities to lead in defining South Africa's climate story. So the Raise the Game for Climate Action aims to galvanize the support of climate change champions across different sectors and geographical places to call for an accelerated drive towards a sustainable economy. And at the same time, it also aims to raise awareness of the need for inclusive community engagement in the fight against climate change by showcasing the stories of individuals as well as small and medium enterprises. There's some interference there, sorry about that. The focus is also on small and medium-sized enterprises, especially micro-enterprises in communities that are already leading the way. So we do this in many ways. We have since hosted 2 successful, what we call Twitter cafes, facilitated by youth on climate awareness. And we will be hosting another Twitter cafe, not Twitter, sorry, Twitter cafe next month. But if we could just go further up to the Changerpreneur slide. Next one, please. Yes, thank you. That's perfect. Okay. So we are also launching the Changerpreneur series, where we will feature short, engaging videos of communities, businesses, and thought leaders who are playing their part, raising their game for climate action. And the series will be distributed across social media platforms, primarily Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp through our collaborator network. Our Changerpreneurs are located across South Africa in Cape Town, Durban, and the Eastern Cape. And the series will be launching during the last week of October, which is this week, and we are currently busy with the final edits. So I read an article today from the Continent feature of the Mail and Guardian, and it said that most climate science is written by men, mostly white and from a Western perspective. We are hoping that with the Changerpreneur series and the content that we create for the Raise the Game series, the science of the story will have the voices of those impacted the most by climate change, which is all of us, but more importantly, the voices of women, youth, and entrepreneurs in those outlying areas from the African continent, thus having an impact on the decisions taken globally. I encourage you to raise the game for climate change, and please follow the hashtag Raise the Game, and post your amazing stories. We would love to know what is being done by youth on the ground to raise the game for climate change. I hope that I can share my screen, because I would actually like to share the video with you on the Changerpreneur series. I hope that's fine. Okay, I think, would it be possible for me to share screen? Thank you. Give me a second. There we go. Sorry. Wrong one. Okay, there we go. And I hope this plays.
Climate change, a harsh reality we all must face. In South Africa, we've seen how climate change can have devastating effects on local communities, from water shortages to floods, extreme temperatures, and loss of habitats. Despite this, people across South Africa are doing their part to raise the game in the fight against climate change and challenging the South African government to do the same. Now it's your turn. Share how you raise your game for climate action using the hashtag #RaiseTheGame. Let's make a move, South Africa. Let's raise the game.
Thank you so much. I wish you all well, Indalo Inclusive, the British High Commission, and all parties involved on these particular awards. And I also would like to add that prior to joining the United Nations, I used to be a journalist for the SABC's Channel Africa, and I was fortunate enough to actually be part of COP15 and COP17. COP15 took place in Copenhagen, and COP17 in Durban, South Africa. And as a youth at that time, I remember that, we realized that climate change is of paramount importance, or talking about and raising awareness on climate change is of paramount importance. And I do hope that we will also honor journalists that are telling the story and raising awareness about climate change across this country, because there are some fantastic people doing fantastic work. Congratulations to all the initiatives that are underway to raise awareness on climate change. And I hope that we will see posts and stories on Raise the Game for climate change as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that, Zinat. We look forward to, is it Raise the Game? We look forward to raising the game with you, Zinat. I'd like to keep it moving, please. I'd like to keep it moving with our next keynote speaker with a message of support from the UNDP, Simone. I'd like to call upon Simone, who's the head of Explore. Is it Simone? It's Simone. So if I could just quickly welcome you, Simone, who's the head of exploration at the UN Development Program Accelerator Lab. In her role, she's focused on research, design, and partnerships to advance innovation, and she is the focal point for the nature, climate, and energy portfolio. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Simone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to be quite brief as I'm here to give a message of support, and I think all attendees today acknowledge the critical role that youth will play in the fight against climate change as they call for and take action to protect their futures. At UNDP, innovation, entrepreneurship, and youth are core to all of the projects that we run. This year, we partnered with Indalo Inclusive to implement a project in food waste, where we supported entrepreneurs to develop their enterprises to combat the triple challenge of food waste. Next year, we'll be expanding this program to try and shift to a more circular approach, where waste is seen as a resource for enterprise development and job creation, as you mentioned, Janita. We are also about to launch a youth barometer. We'll be collecting data from over 10,000 youth across the country. That is with the Partnership for Action for the Green Economy. That will be then lead to discussions post COP26. And we have a range of other programs. We are also supporting, under the Southern African Wind Energy Project, the training of youth to be wind technicians. We support youth in land degradation to try and combat to lead to sustainable land management. So we really have a range of projects, and we acknowledge how important this is to be central to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. I think, with the pandemic, as we know, it has disrupted so many systems, and it's a disruption that we can't afford to squander. We have an opportunity now to build back better, and that means building back greener. And in order to do that, we're going to need novel approaches and novel solutions. And that is around innovation. So projects like this are so important because they open the spaces not only to showcase and support innovation, but to truly celebrate it. So on behalf of UNDP, we would like to pledge our full support to the project and look forward to the opportunities that it creates for collaboration and to deepen our impact. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Simone-Smith. We thank you very much for your endorsement. We thank you so much for your support. We thank you so much for all the levels of partnerships and communications that you always offer in such instances, in such events, and for such initiatives. We hope that our partnerships and our communications with you, and whatever it is that we require from you, will always be a long and fruitful relationship going forward, as it always has been, I imagine. So thank you so much for that. I'd like to, at this point, welcome a representative from the Office of His Excellency, the British High Commissioner, just to come onto the stage, Funzo Mudau. if you could please join us. Thank you so much. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you so much, Vuki. I would say your name in full, but I think only you can do it well. As Vuki has said, my name is Pfunzo. I work for the British High Commission here in Pretoria as a climate change policy and campaigns officer. I would like to give an apology on behalf of His Excellency Anthony Philipson, who couldn't be here today, as well as my line manager, John Wade Smith, who also couldn't be here. He's the head of climate and energy at the British High Commission. They both couldn't be here because, as you can imagine, COP26 starts in 2 days, and they are engaged in COP26 stuff right now. I would also like to thank our partners, Indalo Inclusive, as well as our media partner, Mail and Guardian, as well as all our supporting partners, DFFE, as well as UNDP, and everyone who is here today, online and here in this Friday afternoon. So thank you so much for making time to come here as we launch this important initiative. I'd also like to start by saying the British High Commission really values working with young people. As you would have heard, we did work with the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment last year as they launched their Driving Force for Change initiative program, and we're very happy that that is going forward. We've also worked with the likes of South African Institute for International Affairs as they worked on their Youth Climate Action Plan that has informed their position that they're taking to COP26 as the position of young people on climate change. So we are very happy to be launching this initiative or these awards that is another piece of work that takes in consideration young people, because young people are very important. They make most of our population here in Africa and in South Africa. So it's very important for us to include youth when we talk of climate policy as well as climate action, not only because they make most of the population, but also because young people will bear the consequences of climate change. We sit here and we speak about net zero by 2050, and we speak about a greener, sustainable future, and we talk about a low carbon economy. It's not everyone who's here who will live enough to be in mid-century or in 2050, but most young people will live. So what is a goal to us will be a reality to young people. So who best to include when you're talking about the future and when you're talking about young people? It is young people. So through an initiative such as this, we are creating a space for young people to do just that, to tell us, what does a low carbon economy look to them? What does a net zero future look like to them? How do they want it to be? And how can we support their innovative ideas and make them a reality? I would also like to mention that we might know, some of us sitting here might know that Southern Africa is hitting at twice the rate of the rest of the world. We have in the past or the recent years seen the dire consequences of climate change in Southern Africa and in South Africa. We've seen flooding, we've seen heat waves, we've seen droughts. So that's what we see now. I think sitting here, we can imagine what can happen in the next 30 years. And so as we imagine what can happen in the next 30 years, I think it's also very important to ask ourselves, what can we do? And I think in answering that, the British High Commission, as well as the partners that I've mentioned, are trying to be part of answering that question and be part of providing a space for young people to also answer those questions. The previous speakers have mentioned COP, so I have to mention COP because I represent the British High Commission. COP will finally kickstart on Sunday, and for the next 2 weeks, world leaders will come together and talk about climate change. I'm very glad that Zinat was mentioning including women, including young people. The UNDP has spoken about young people. The DFFE has spoken about what they're doing to work with young people. I think this is very important for us as the British High Commission, but as well as the UK government, because this year's COP26, is calling for inclusion. And working with young people is a key element of that inclusion. I'd also like to say you would have seen the IPCC reports that came out that just proves that the science is very clear. The science is very clear and very dire. You've seen in the recent years, youth are beginning to come on stage and saying we need action, and we need action now. We need world leaders to listen to us. We want action, and we want action now. So through an initiative like this, we are hoping that this initiative will form part of a bigger mandate, which is to transition from fossil fuels to a future that is sustainable for us, but for young people as well. So I would like to conclude by saying the British High Commission has so much confidence on this initiative, and we hope that through this initiative we can cultivate voices of young people, and that we can use their voices to catalyze change, because I think you would agree with me that who best to talk about the future, who best to dream than young people. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that message, Funzo. Again, touching on the importance of, young people as we are preparing responses to climate change, that we include the youth, as you said, who best to include and who best to have that voice, but for young people. And you said that COP26 is calling for inclusion, and the youth demand action, and they demand the action now as well as to be included. So thank you once again for those beautiful words, and also for the endorsement, and thank you to the British High Commission for their confidence in this initiative. I'd like to, at this point, bring upon our next speaker as well to unveil the SAYCIA project approach, Natanya Buerta. So Natanya Buerta is dedicated to empowering and uplifting people in rural and township areas, as well as protecting and advocating for natural spaces. Her work at Indalo Inclusive South Africa focuses on advocating for green, inclusive, and responsible entrepreneurship in South Africa, while her work with Nozibele Princess Zibesh Foundation includes environmental education and solutions for youth development in rural and township areas. Please join me in welcoming Natanya. Let's give her a round of applause, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Vuki. Firstly, I hope to do this presentation justice. I believe that some of my other colleagues would have done it better, but I truly hope to do it justice. So, Judy, if you can kindly move to the second slide. So when we talk about entrepreneurship, I know there's like different things popping in your head, but I would just like to give you a brief overview on what is an eco-inclusive enterprise. Eco-inclusive enterprise are the driving force behind a green economy and provides innovative solutions within their communities by introducing green products and services which create job opportunities and economic growth. An eco-inclusive enterprise fosters a common culture of awareness and action which facilitates innovation solutions for social, environmental, and economic improvement around the core value proposition of the enterprise, or how we would like to refer to it as Indalopreneurship. So we take the environment, we plus it with a social impact together with economic impact, and that is ultimately the core value proposition of the enterprise. We also go by with the motto of turning eco-inclusive enterprise ideas into positive economic impact. So, you can go to the second slide. Let's talk about COP26. As a young person, as an activist, and as someone who would really like to send a message to the UK, I would like to say that we stand at a pivotal moment in the human history, one that would likely determine humanity's future on this planet. Billions throughout the world expect global leaders to show the bold and courageous leadership needed to avoid the ever-worsening impacts of climate change. COP26 is the opportunity to show it. But more importantly, we cannot just rely on the world leaders. As the young people of South Africa, as an African continent, and as a global village, we can no longer just stand and demand for action. Action is in with our hands. Therefore, when we conceptualized the awards program, we thought about a number of things that can provide young people with the opportunity to showcase the innovations that they can bring to the table. Not just giving them a space at the table to engage in conversation, but to bring the solution to the table. So I would like to just give you an overview on the program itself, the South African Youth Climate Innovation Awards, or how we've coined it SAYCIA. Leading up to COP26, Indalo has partnered with the British High Commission, and today we are launching the SAYCIA Awards program, together with the Mail and Guardian as our official media partner. And I would also just like to recognize the CEO, Hussein, from the Mail and Guardian, who is over there. You're welcomed. So this is the first of its kind awards, where we will recognize 26 youth innovation entrepreneurial solutions that will contribute positively towards the greatest climate and environmental challenges of our time. This is not just a talk shop. This is not just we saying we are going to bring solutions to South Africa. Judy, the next page. So the program is divided into two components. Firstly, it's the awards program, where we will select and showcase these 26 innovators, trailblazers, we will do it through our partner like the Mail and Guardian and other affiliates. So that's the one side of the program. Then the other side of the program component is we are going to host dialogue sessions, because we would like to delve deeper into what is the challenges that young people are faced with, and why do they propose the solutions and innovations that they propose. Through these dialogue sessions, we are going to develop a youth position paper. Ultimately, our goal is for Minister Barbara Creasy to read the youth position paper and acknowledge it. We will also like to share it with other government departments, civil society, as well as the public. So the awards will focus within the following thematic areas of water, energy, waste, agriculture, and ecosystem restoration. It will also aim to identify a cohort of innovative market-driven entrepreneurial solutions through a competitive process. And it's going to be tight, because we want the cream of the crop. We want to raise awareness among South African youth on the challenge of climate change, provide a platform for youth voices on climate change and the socio-economic discourse, and then ultimately showcase the 26 young people that are standing out, these pockets of excellences within the various landscapes, the lengths and breadths of South Africa. I'm just quickly going to take you through the application process, how it will work, and how you can submit your application. So firstly, you will visit the Indalo e-learning platform. You will go to www.indaloelearning.org.za, and you will see that on the top of the page there is a red button, and it will say application for the South African Youth Climate Innovation Awards. You are going to click on it, and it's going to take you directly to the home page of the SAYCIA application form. There you will be asked to start to complete your application, where we will gather basic information from you, like your first name, your surname, your email address, your contact number, your mobile network, and I'll explain later why we will need your mobile network, your age, your gender, your community, and your province. Once you've completed your basic information, you will then move on to the next section of the application process, where you will record a 2-minute video of yourself explaining how your enterprise solution are addressing any of the thematic key areas that I've mentioned. You will also upload your video onto YouTube and then submit the link through the application. You will see there's a space there where you can submit the link. You will then choose the sector which your innovation falls under. And if you move on to the next section of the application process, you will then have to explain how does your innovation or entrepreneurial solution contribute to reducing climate change effects. It must be short and sweet. This is not a thesis. It's 200 to 300 words. Choose your words wisely. Show us the impact that you are bringing to the table. Moving on, you will furthermore explain to us how long your enterprise has been in existence. This is quite important because sometimes you're just going to have an idea that you're going to bring to the table that might work in your community or province. So then you will select the option that says you have not yet started, or you have started conceptualizing your business, you have registered it, and you are currently in operation of 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, or more than 2 years. After that, you will then complete a further motivation explaining to us why you are applying for this program and what do you expect to achieve during the program and after receiving the support through the program. Once again, it's between 200 and 300 words. I also just need to highlight that the system will not take your application if it's less than 200 words. We do not want one sentence there. We want you to really explain what is it that you want, how do you envision yourself growing through this program that you are going to embark on. Because if you can dream it, you can achieve it. So you should be filling this application form in as if you are going to be part of the top 26. So it's not just as easy as I've now completed the application, there it goes into the universe, and now I'm getting selected. No, we are pushing you one step further. So after you have uploaded all of your information, your video, your motivations, etc., you are going to click on the next button that says submit your application, and congratulations, you have now entered for the South African Youth Climate Innovation Awards. The closing date for the awards will be on the 12th of November. So the next steps from there is we will put an expert panel together in relevance of the thematic areas of the applications, and there we will select and shortlist 60 entries into the awards. Shortlisted applicants will be informed by the 17th of November. After you've been shortlisted, you will receive a certain amount of data which will enable you to help to promote your entry and to gain votes, likes and shares and comments. Because we all can be social butterflies if we want to. So the more votes and views and shares you receive, the more likely you are to be selected as the part of the 26. So how does it work? Your video that you've submitted, the video will be used and it will be uploaded onto the Indalo SAYCIA platform. From there, you'll be able to share it onto your social media networks like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. LinkedIn, unfortunately, Instagram only takes 1 minute, so it's advisable to only use these 3 platforms, and the voting lines will open on the 18th of November. Okay. Just to give you an update, we will have a live update page where each person's video will be posted in, and we will also showcase the number of views that the video has, the number of comments, the number of shares, together with the number of likes. And it will be in an order like that. Next page, Judy. So ultimately, the leadership board results will come out. We will consolidate everything, and we will then provide a total score for all of the finalists. The voting lines will close on the 23rd of November. So to take you through the second component of the program, which is the dialogue sessions. Once again, if we want to meet our goal in the climate objectives under the Paris Agreement, it is essential that all voices are heard. We cannot achieve transformation without them. It's highly impossible. So the objectives of the dialogue sessions is to create a central and cross-cutting theme for education, awareness, and mainstreaming the climate change debate and the discourse to and amongst young people and youth formations in South Africa. The program makes provision for 2 targeted dialogue sessions which will attract participants from all spheres in the country. The 2 topics will include the role of youth in climate entrepreneurship in South Africa, and then we will also be elevating the youth voices into the COP26 debate and the Paris Agreement, because the Paris Agreement was not the end. It's only the beginning. The sooner we sensitize young people on what is being agreed upon for the country, the sooner young people will take up their space and they will start to create change for that space that they occupy. So the first dialogue session will take place on the 8th of November, and the second dialogue session will take place on the 25th of November. So enterprises that has been going through this whole thing of being a social butterfly, getting likes and shares and comments and hearts and support from their local community, their family, their friends, their networks, etc. We will then shortlist 35 enterprises with the highest score, and they will then receive an opportunity to pitch for 3 minutes in front of a panel. The panel will provide the enterprises, entrepreneurs, with constructive feedback during that session. From that session, 26 enterprises will be selected to receive the SAYCIA award. The awards will take place on the 3rd of December. So what will you receive as a winner? You will receive profiling through the Mail and Guardian, Indalo's platforms, the British High Commission's platforms, and other affiliated partners. You will receive an electronic designed profile book and a certificate, which will be shared with you, and you can hang this up in your office or share it with potential partners, business affiliates, etc. As Indalo, we will also try our best and do our best to share your portfolio with a potential investor. You will also be possibly considered in the Indalo-led incubation program that may see them participating and showcasing at the UNFCCC COP27 in Egypt. This is very important. COP26 is very important, but I think COP27 is even more important because it's coming back to Africa. We all know that climate change does not see borders, nor ideologies. It is here. It is affecting millions of people throughout the continent. It is up to us, ladies and gentlemen, to be the change, to take action, and to ultimately be the beacon of hope and the custodians of our splendor. For more information, please follow us on our social media pages at Indalo Inclusive. We are very active on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So with that said, I thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Natanya. You said it's Entrepreneurship, right? And that's environment plus social plus economic. Thank you very much. And like you said, we can no longer only just rely on world leaders. The action is in our hands, and we can no longer have, a youth that is silent and viewers at the table. We have to have them be allowed to speak, to speak and contribute the solutions and execute these solutions while at it. So we can no longer afford to be just a talk shop. I absolutely love that. We cannot have events about events, meetings about meetings that we had the previous year before, or the previous year. We can no longer have events where we are in the same stance as we were the year before. This year we should be talking about, actually we're not having 26, we're having 50 participants because this one was such a success. So every single year we have to see some kind of change. We cannot be singing the same lyrics to the same song every single year. So thank you for that. So as you said, it's indaloelearning.co.za.org. indaloelearning.org. Please make sure that you go and apply. As a matter of fact, this might be an opportunity just for us to say, at this point, if you have any questions, before I introduce the next speaker, just keep it in mind that please just build your questions at this point, as we are, after him, going to have a panel discussion which includes him. So as he's speaking, if you have any questions that are directed to himself as well as the other speakers that have been up on stage, please just start formulating those questions, send them through wherever it is that you are watching from, send them through to the social media platform you're watching from, send them through, please, in Zoom if you are attending in Zoom. But please, let's get into a discussion so that we can educate each other and have some questions answered that you might have at this point. So I would like to call upon now to hear the testimonials of a special youth entrepreneur Lebogang Leshabane, who's the founder of BG Co., a biogas startup that is focused on sustainably purifying biogas to produce high-quality methane for residential and industrial use. For his work with BG Co., he has been nominated in the top 3 candidates of the DBSA Youth Challenge 2019 and amongst the top 10 nominees in the DFFE Driving Force for Change Youth Challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Lebogang Leshabane. Thank you so much.
Quite the stage, quite the ice. But I'll do my best. As I've been introduced, my name is Lebogang Leshabane, and my purpose here today is to encourage and motivate the youth to seek out and find such programs as the ones that I have been part of, and to explain to them how it actually helped me. At first, I was like, it means I'm gonna talk. I can talk, I like talking, I got this. And then I saw in the program I have 5 minutes, so, okay. I wrote a note with a bunch of words just to keep my thoughts together. And it's quite sad that I'm only given 5 minutes to attempt to explain what I have gathered and gained from these programs. And the reason I say that is because it's not enough. And as youth, we are gathered here, and those watching at home, I hope you can see me clearly, right? We are gathered here because of one thing, dreams. The dreams we have and the dreams that we share. And the nice thing about dreams, which is also the same thing that I love about them, is that they're not picky, and they're also not fussy. So as such, the dreamers, we are quite diverse from our backgrounds and our upbringings and all manner of diversities, if I may put it like that. So essentially, all of us as dreamers, we are just botabo re le babaya. And that simply translates to, we are a bunch of tabos. And what that means is we are, all of us, like Thabo, we have big dreams. Some people caught that. Nonetheless, as entrepreneurs, or rather what I would say is, the reason I would advise you guys to seek such programs is, I really learned a lot from them. I mean, for starters, as Dr. Badou was saying, Abdul was saying about the business plan that we were working on. It was only this early this year that I actually learned how to write a mission plan, a mission. Yeah, it seems easy, né? It's very easy, but it was very difficult. I wrote almost an entire page and called that my mission. And it is through such programs that I learned a key important thing, which is there are known knowns, which are things that we know, and there are known unknowns, things we know that we don't know, and then there are unknown unknowns, things that we possibly would not know that we do not know. And as such, I've learned a lot with regards from turning my idea that I had into a successful business. And as I learned from Rest, it is an entirely different story to have an idea, and it is something on a different level for you to turn that idea into a sustainable business. And what I learned from that was, for starters, in the beginning I was an inventor. Yeah, I'm not gonna call myself an entrepreneur. I was not. I was an inventor. All I had was an idea to create something that was amazing, effective, and that would impact the lives of us South Africans, my people, right? And through these programs, I learned how to convert that idea into something that will be sustainable, in the sense that I learned how to run finances of a business. I learned about how to deal with employees. I learned so much when it comes to how a business is operated, and this falls under my unknown unknowns, because in the beginning, I was just an inventor, right? All I knew was my prototype. Ask me anything, I could write you a 100-page detailed report on each and every aspect of it. But then when it came to this size of turning it into a business, yeah, that was an entirely different story. But I can safely say through these programs and call myself with confidence, I'm an entrepreneur. Yes, right. And then the other aspect that these opportunities come with is funding. Funding that, as we know, it becomes a huge problem for us, because when you have a big dream, the first thing that you think about is how to actualize that dream, and most of the time, due to our diversity, we do not have the funds. And these opportunities also offer you funding, and in my case specifically, it offered me the opportunity to upscale the current project prototype that I was working on to something that can actually run a pilot scale test. And I'm very grateful for those opportunities, and for all the panel who saw my idea and considered it worth picking. And additionally, on top of the funds that it provided me with something that was more than all the above that I've just mentioned: opportunity and networking. And what I mean by that is it put me in a position where I met other people who were like me, like-minded, and in the same sphere and purpose that I was on. So even now, as I speak, I have on my phone a WhatsApp group with all the candidates and finalists that I was with, where we exchange ideas, we exchange challenges that we have. I mean, recently I just learned about taxes and how to do my taxes for the business from the group and the significance of it, right? So we exchange these challenges with each other, and we learn from one another to avoid falling into these pit stops. And in conclusion, what I will say to the youth, based on Dr. Abdul's speech, is slow down. When she said slow down, it didn't mean stop. It just meant pace yourself. Because as I started, I had a lot of ideas, still do. I'm very imaginative person, right? So I had a lot of ideas, but one thing that I learned from them was to focus your energy. And the reason that is important is because with a lot of ideas, you spend too much time working on everything to an extent where 5 years later, you've not achieved much, and it weighs on your mental health because you feel like you've been working, but you don't see the outputs of what you've worked on. And so what they brought, or what they bring to the table in these programs, is perspective, because the people who are facilitating, coordinating, and in charge of these programs offer a perspective that you otherwise as youth don't have. What we have in abundance is ambition. We carry that, a lot of it. But perspective, it paints a different story. And in my case, I have been able to do in the last 6 months more than I've done in a year plus, because of the perspective that they brought to the table. And I can safely say that I'm going very far very soon, right? And in conclusion, I will say this to my fellow Tabos out there, fellow entrepreneurs, my youth, my people, Bafoye too. We are the future that we want to see. Not pieces of it, not parts of it, not tiny portions of it, all of it, everything. We are that future that we want to see. And I will be part of that future. And I hope you guys join me there. because, yeah, when I sit and dream about it, it's a very nice place. And as Shakespeare once put it and said, I am become a name. So before I also become a name, and all people know about me is the recognition of the efforts that I have put in. I would like to share the reason why I do what I do and what drives me. And I hope that translates to you, my fellow people, and pushes you towards something. And this is my conclusion, by the way. Right, I know my 5 minutes. Right, so what pushes me to do this is legacy. I live in this world, I'm born to this world, and I want to live it better than I find it. But when I expand legacy, this is one thing that I want you to carry. And the next time you hear my name or see my name, this is the only thing I'd like you to remember. I've spoken a lot, but remember this. I intend on leaving a legacy, the standard of which was set by God when he created the heavens and man. And anything shy of that is not worth mentioning. Thank you, good people, for the time.
Man, this man, well done. Thank you so much for that. Look, you know, your conclusion does not form part of your speech, okay? So you could have actually gone on and said, in closing, I would like to say, and then to finish, I would like to also just say, and then in conclusion, I would like to say. So you had more time, but you didn't use it. But now, like you said, you know, we learn a lot of these things in these forums and in such spaces. Now you know how to expand on your speeches. You can start a whole new speech just by saying, and I would like to end off by saying. Okay. So these are tips and tricks from speaker to speaker. Okay, this is just what I do because they gave you a time. So thank you so much, man. I absolutely love what you say when you say that dreams are not picky, dreams are absolutely not fussy, right? That's why, as you say, Thabo from a location, Thabo from a rural land can have such an idea that seems to be absolutely beyond him. But because that idea was implanted in his head, there will always be means that come in front of him that present him and you know, are able to pivot him or direct him into the direction that will take him to where he needs to ultimately be. And then once having gotten into those spaces, start learning things as to, you know, how to go from, as you said, being someone who's a dreamer, being an inventor, to being an actual businessman and a business person, because there's such a difference between an entrepreneur or a dreamer or an inventor and a business person, because there's a lot of strategy that goes into being a business person. There's a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of learning, and there's a lot of soaking up of information where being a business person is concerned. So as you say, I hope that such initiatives will be readily available. I hope that the marketing strategy is going to be aggressive so that it is so visible to the general public for them to be able to enter such initiatives. I hope we ourselves, each and every one of us who has a phone, is able to even share on their social media platforms or to the people sitting next to them or they live with, and say that there is such an initiative. If you know someone, please make sure that people know such initiatives so that we can produce more of Lebogang le Shabanis. So thank you for that. I was told that he doesn't want to do this. Not him, not Lebogang, sorry. There's another gentleman that doesn't want to do this, but I'm going to have to put him on the spot because we cannot have him as such a great partner and not have him come up on stage just to make sure that he's happy with the partnership that we have and you know, that he endorses what it is that we are doing, and it will definitely land up in his newspaper. So I'd like to call up onto the stage the CEO of Mail and Guardian, Mr. Hussein Karijika. I hope I said that correctly this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Program Director. To all our partners in this project from Indalo Inclusive, the British High Commission, the Department of Environmental Affairs and Forestry, good afternoon, all protocols observed. It's very exciting to be here with you this afternoon. The only reason why I didn't want to say anything was I don't want to delay you guys any further. I noticed the graveyard session on a Friday afternoon. Everybody wants to get home. And that's the only reason why I didn't really want to say anything. But thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I think that there are perhaps 2 or 3 reasons why the Mail and Guardian would be very interested in this project. First of all, and most importantly, and I just saw it now, is that any acronym with CIA in the name is going to attract the attention of the Mail and Guardian, as you know. So I'm sure that appealed to our editorial people. But yes, but secondly, I think more seriously, is that climate change has been at the forefront, or one of our pillars of our content pillars of the Mail and Guardian over many, many years. I mean, I recall when I joined the Mail and Guardian, it must have been 20 years ago, Greening the Future was one of the first projects or award sessions that we attended and put together. And it's been, and the Mail and Guardian has always been at the forefront of the discourse and with content with regard in pushing climate change as a content vertical within in the organization. Thirdly, of course, is what you all will remember is our association with the youth through our project called the 20 Young South Africans. And I was just informed earlier that, Nasanya, you've been one of the awardees, one of the cohort of the 20 Young South Africans a few years ago. I'm not even sure when. But thank you very much for bringing the Mail and Guardian in as a partner with this project. We're very excited about it. I can see many, many opportunities for content to be showcased on our website. I hope you've negotiated well with Crystal and the editorial team to indeed get that content out there. We do whatever we can to showcase all the work that's being done. So good luck to all the participants and all the entries, and look forward to seeing your work on the platforms of the Mail and Guardian in the future. Thank you very much.
I think you just said, "How dare you?" You whispered, "How dare you?" when I walked. I'm kidding, you did no such thing. So I'd like for us to take just a few minutes, in fact, just exactly 2 minutes, just for us to set up for our panel discussion. And I would like to invite on the stage, as we are doing so, or once we have done so, I'd like to invite Natanya, I'd like to invite Rest, Dr. Janita Badou, as well as Lebogang. So we are going to have a bit of a panel discussion, as mentioned before, as I have been mentioning, as a matter of fact, throughout the event. Please do have some questions ready, whatever it is that you would like for us to inform you on, whatever it is that you would like to know, please just put it in the comment section. Please just text us and let us know what it is, you know, in the way of information that you would like to have as a discussion point. Also, as you are sitting in the room, there might be some questions that you have that are program specific, that are industry specific, and also, you know, that are specific to some of you know, some of the testimonial of Lebogang as well. So we have people on the stage right now. This gives you an opportunity to keep on speaking, friend. So please let us just quickly set up. Let's take a 2-minute breather, and then we'll be back for our panel discussion. We are almost done. Thank you. Testing. All right, thank you very much. Okay. I think we're just waiting for a few more questions to come in, and then we can begin. I think I have a bit of a question myself just to kickstart it, and I think maybe let's just reintroduce ourselves. With people online, some of them having come in at a bit of a later stage. So I would love it if we could please just take the time just to introduce yourself and your title and just give to the next person, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Natanya Bueta, and I'm the Partnerships and Content Development Coordinator for Indalo Inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director. Good evening, everybody. I am Janita Badou, the Senior Policy Advisor at the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment. Thanks.
Thank you. My name is Pfunzo Mudau. I am a Climate Policy and Campaigns Officer from the British High Commission in Pretoria. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Rest Kanju, and I am Director and Head of Operations for Indalo Inclusive South Africa.
Good evening. My name is Lebogang. I am an entrepreneur for BGCO, a startup based in the biogas sector.
All right, thank you. I think you can keep the mic because my question is directed at you, Lebogang. I think my first question to you is, would you say, or what is the level of difficulty trying to find such programs? How available are such programs to us? And where would you say they should be better available, considering that, if we want information to be available all throughout South Africa, then we should be uniform in the way that we communicate such events or such, these type of initiatives to South Africa, especially specific to climate change.
In my personal experience, some of these initiatives may tend to be hard to find because if you do not follow some of the pages that they are on, then it becomes hard to know when opportunities come. So I would like to say that if more of them would be available in places like your Facebook, which most of them tend to be, to your Facebooks, your Instagrams, where most entrepreneurs find them, and to portals where entrepreneurs tend to look at. Yeah, but the majority of them are sometimes hard to find.
Thank you so much. How would you say we can remedy that?
I would say the best way to remedy that is, in as much as each individual company in South Africa has its own initiative that they may run, how about there be one platform, even though they have their own individual platforms, have a specific singular platform where all of them can post their these initiatives on, where it's more streamlined, that when you look for them, you don't have to go to 10, 15, 18 different websites. There's specifically one website that you can go to and find as many as you want, and then from there you can, for more details, go to all these other websites.
I like that. I like that. Thank you. I understand that. So I have a message from online for Rest. Rest, what are the key focus areas for a startup company to make it a success?
Wow.
This is the people that are watching online, man. They're not trying to give you space.
Very intelligent
they're
questions.
They're asking the deep stuff very quick, very quick.
Yeah. I think at Indalo, we've actually learned a few things, and I think Dr. Badou alluded to one of those, focus, right? And just streamlining your idea. I think in South Africa, generally we tend to do what's called hustling. So we hustle a lot, and what that means is we kind of jump from one opportunity to another. We've got names for these things, right? So I think the moment you start doing that, it actually diverts your attention from focusing on the one idea that you have, working it out properly, shaping it to a point where you really can start seeing a success of it. I mean, research will tell you that it takes about 18 to 36 months for an entrepreneur or an enterprise to really break even. But I normally say that that amount of time it takes can only happen in that period of time, only and only when you wake up every day, 12 hours working on that same idea, right? And if you're then going to divert your attention to other things, it then takes longer, right? So success then comes quite late or never comes at all. So I think that becomes for me the key issue for all entrepreneurs. And I think the next thing is, there's certain framework conditions that are very, pertinent for entrepreneurs to succeed. And I think one of those, and I preach a lot about this, is, skills education. And that is not just an issue of going to university. Yes, we should do that, and get technically equipped, with the kind of models and ideas that we want to implement. But it's also, requires of us to read, right? Read, funda taki, read and read and read, If I've got an innovation on biogas, right? You've got to spend time reading and learning about this thing. If you don't do that, I don't know who's going to read on your behalf, and understand it, because technology changes. I mean, we woke up this morning hearing something a new word in the universe called metaverse, and it's a new thing that we're just getting ourselves into. The world changes so fast, and if we don't invest time finding out new information and reading and sharpening our skills around that, it's gonna kill our ideas. I don't know if I don't want to run an enterprise program now, but I think let me just stop there for now. Yeah.
All right, I think also just real quickly, your top 3 books that you would recommend.
Wow.
I mean, you said read, so
yeah.
Read what?
Wow. So I read a few things. I mean, my favorite book is the Bible, first of all. Okay. But I don't read books that I normally read 10, for storytelling and things like that. I read academic stuff, so I make it an effort to read the GEM report. It's quite interesting to read every year. It's one of those that for me gives me an insights about what's going on within the entrepreneurial ecosystem in South Africa. I'm trying to think of a third one. I don't know. Man.
That's fine. Two is okay. Do we have any questions? Thank you.
And I read the Mail and Guardian, by the way.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. My name is Tulani Mkhecha. I'm a disaster manager by profession. I'm qualified in disaster management. So I want to ask that how can we link the disaster risk reduction into climate change crisis that we're facing now? How can we link the disaster risk reduction into climate crisis that we're facing now? Because of the crisis will cause disaster, and disaster is coming. If I can pick one example, that we are about to face a big crisis that's going to come on from Emalahleni municipality, the air pollution crisis, that we've been sitting with the air pollution for more than 20 years. We are not doing anything. How can we put action? What must happen? What can we do? I'm the founder of the company called Friend in Disaster Risk Reduction Africa. So our main vision is to reduce all disasters. COVID-19 is a disaster. There's another one who's going to come in multiple effects. Technology infused, 4IR, 5G, climate change crisis, and problems. How can we speed up we reverse that problem we are facing at Emalahleni municipality? We are seeing it's just here. We read the reports, people they cannot breathe, people they are dying. What are we doing? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure who that is directed to. So everyone.
Okay, thank you for that question, Tulani. It's not necessarily a matter for the government, Funzo. It's a matter that we all need to respond to. And it begins with us. We need to make those changes. We need to be more responsible with regard to our interventions that we undertake within the environment on a daily basis. And I do understand the pertinence of the issue that you're raising right now, noting that since you are actually coordinating disaster risk reduction, it depends on which disaster at which moment in time you're actually managing. So, I mean, the climate change crisis which we currently find ourselves in did not happen overnight. It's as a result of our actions within the environment itself that brings us to this point in time. And we can't necessarily reverse the actions of the past, but we need to change how we proceed currently as well as into the medium and long term. So that being said, as part of the climate change agenda, disaster risk reduction is definitely at the forefront. And the Department for Cooperative Governance is responsible for disaster risk reduction centrally, as well as at a municipal level, because most of these disasters take place within a local space. And as we sit here, all of us belong to a local space. We either with the Tshwane municipality, City of Joburg, etc. So this is where it happens. And sometimes we seem to forget, working within spheres of government, we think that, okay, it's far from us. You know, the municipality that's experiencing that natural disaster, whether it is brought upon as a result of us bringing that issue upon us or naturally, either way we need to handle it. So it just depends on, I mean, for example, with air quality management itself, this has been an ongoing struggle. We have identified the hotspots, and it has received responses. Nonetheless, I think more can be done. And we know that obviously it requires for collective action. Whilst a government or the public sector puts in place policies, from an enforcement perspective and a compliance perspective, it is all of us who are either working within the private sector space, NGOs, etc., that need to take the necessary actions and make that change. Thanks.
Amazing, thank you. Do you think you've been answered?
Goal number 17 for the SDG goal, collaboration, partnership. We need to partner to speed up. 2030 is just around the corner. We need to achieve those goals. We need to see that how can we create employment. We are talking about the youth. The youth, they can be employed through these initiatives. While we are fixing, we can create and put economy on the ground and create a lot of employment. But we can discuss outside, let's be short.
Thank you very much, Tulan. I have a question for Natanya. And in actual fact, it was a question that I was also going to ask you. And I think, let's try and have it be the last question as well. I know that there might be a bit more, but it's directed to you, Natanya, although I think it would be great also just to hear from yourself as well. Yes, I do these things. I want to know, or there's someone online who would like to know, you are linked directly with a lot of youth. Why do you think that climate change is not a big topic amongst youth in South Africa? So the way that I was going to phrase it is more around, so firstly that question, why do you think that it's not a big topic, and how do we go about, for lack of a better word, almost sexifying it in such a way that it's so consumed, or it's so palatable to the youth, and because I think everything goes with marketing, right? How are we marketing it so that it's so streamlined, so that it's so available, so readily available to the general public that that is almost annoying? Do you understand? Like, how do we get it to be in such a position that we speak about it so much that it's almost annoying, like everything else that we consume on our televisions and our radios and our social media?
Thank you for that question, Buki. from my perspective, if I look at the stats from the indexes, South Africa has an unemployment rate of 32.6%, and 50% of that 32.6% is youth, young people between the ages of 18 and 35. So it's hard to say, but it's not just directed at the youth. We can see that there is a problem, and it's going to become a generational problem if not addressed, if initiatives are not implemented and opportunities are not given to the young people of South Africa in a local context. There's a scary stat that I've read that 11 million South Africans lives on less than 28 Rand a day. And that just indicated the level of poverty that we are dealing with. And that is interlinked with youth, with our young people, where 50% of the 32.6% are young people. So it's not that we say that young people are ignorant for climate change or they don't understand it. I think that the young people of South Africa does not realize the power that they have, that the power lies with them, because as soon as they are going to say, we do not like this, we do not want this, we are the future of this country. In 10 years or 5 years from now, I am going to be the decision maker of government or of a private institution, or I'm going to run a civil society NGO organization. We need to learn how to take up our space and how do we deal with the impacts of climate change. As Tulani was referring to disaster risk management, it was immediately reflecting in me as climate adaptation, because we're no longer dealing with mitigation, we are now just adapting to the effects of climate change. So the message that I would like to get across is that, like referring to rest, you need to read, you need to understand, you need to then innovate, and you need to then take action to get that local action created in your community. But to add that it's quite difficult, and I understand that coming from a perspective where you have less than 28 Rand a day, what is going to be your top priority? Is it going to you're going to have to look for a job, okay, because you have to eat? Or are you going to stand in front of Parliament refusing to eat because you know that in 10 years from now the landscape is going to be so much different than what you used to? So yes, our problems are complex, but my final message would be that young people need to step up, take up their space, and realize the power that they have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Natanya. I'll just add a little bit to what she has said, because she said a mouthful. But I want to take it on this angle to say that in recent years, we've also seen a revolution of young people coming up and saying, well, climate change is a tragedy that's happening, and it's going to be worse in the coming years. So we've seen young people in our country taking that stand. I'll give a quick example. We've seen a young person in the Presidential Commission for Climate Change, for an example, and we've seen the likes of Greta Thunberg and all the other youth that take a stand and are aware of what's happening in terms of climate change. Taking in consideration the ailments that Natanya has mentioned in terms of poverty and unemployment in our country, I think what is important for me in bringing awareness on climate change to young people is taking climate change to where the young people are. So we must take responsibility as people in strategic positions to really gun for climate change awareness to be taken to the classroom, for an example. I'll give an example because I'm not that old, but when I was still in school, they introduced life orientation. So people who are young people who are online would know life orientation. But it was an introduction into the learning system. And I guess a lot of people at that time were saying, oh, LO, but it was all to teach young people life skills. So it's also possible with climate change to take it to the classroom and teach young kids, because that's where they are, and that's where they get taught. So start them when they are young and teach them what climate change is, and teach them to see it around them, because we speak of the impacts of climate change in boardrooms and spaces like this as if it's not happening. But you go to a village in Limpopo, and there are people who are not getting stuff that they used to get easily. So rivers are drying out. So the tragedy is happening now. It's going to be worse in the future. But educate young people and take it to the classroom, because that's where they are. You don't have to go anywhere. They're there in the classroom. Go there and teach them on what climate change is and what the impacts are and what they can do. Lastly, just to add, innovative initiatives like the one that was just launched here today addresses that as well. So it's part of the bigger picture of saying we want to create awareness for young people to know about climate change and to know how they can form part of the solution that we need to get. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We can take only one last question from the crowd, from the group in attendance, and I would like to just have us wrap it up. We've only got about 2 minutes left. He had asked for it first. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Tell him to stick to his work. He's a cameraman. He can't be a cameraman and be talking. Sorry, friend. All right. Thank you very much. I don't know if it's important for me to introduce myself, but nevertheless, my name is John Mahlangu from a company called Sondela Academy in Bilabila, focusing on hospitality, nature conservation, chefing and events, etc. I'm pleased after I heard you talking, ma'am. It looks like what I wanted to say more, you touched on it. You brought her back to where she is, because the speed they're running with, it's very high. I'm scared that we're leaving our brothers and sisters behind by saying there is no rural, because we thinking technology is everywhere. It is really not everywhere. We must downgrade ourselves. If we think we are on level 3, we must go to level 2, even 1, to go make sure that there are places where there is not even network in South Africa. So what are we doing about those people that have this vision or this dream of running a business like our gentleman there that started somewhere? I'm convinced to say we need to go to classroom to go do it, but we go into the wrong classrooms, because we are in the cities. We go into classrooms here in the city. There are people that we think they are not vulnerable, or like you said, you say the youth is most vulnerable. There are worse vulnerable in the bush behind there in South Africa that we need to touch. If we need to uplift the youth, we must go start there and do it correctly. There is nothing wrong with what we're doing, but we must go back a bit to go start where it's supposed to be, because there are our brothers and sisters that think they want to be innovative, they want to run businesses, they want to do the correct thing, but they don't have resources. There is someone that does not have a proper cell phone up until matric. What do we do about such people to reach the information that we're talking about in here? It's good that we're saying good words, we're using good English, good dictionary in boardrooms, but behind there, outside there, we're still lacking. Thank you.
I think help us with the final question. What is the question exactly, and who we are posing it to? Yes, sir. Yes, I think you gave us a question and a solution. It was filled in. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. I think you can stay. I'd just like to call upon for a vote of thanks. I think we may wrap it up, and it's such beautiful scenery as you stand here. Maybe Candice Pillay can just come and join us just for a vote of thanks. Candice Pillay is Indalo Inclusive NPC SA board member. Can we just give her a quick round of applause, please?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I always like to think that I'm the best speaker because I'm the last speaker. But anyway, I was just saying I was given 10 minutes to speak, but I'd happily have swapped it with Lebogang. So I just want to talk very quickly about some impressions from from the speakers today. I was quite excited. I came in late because of the traffic, but I was quite excited when I got in to just sit and absorb and listen to all the speakers talk about this very exciting agenda that's focused solely on youth entrepreneurship from the climate change perspective. I think that this conversation is long overdue and now has become very urgent, as we who were once young now need to hand over the baton, so to speak, not to walk away and leave the youth with the mess when it's too late, but while we can still walk this journey together with them. And there was a whole lot of impressive speakers. I'll thank you later as well. But the speakers spoke about things that there was just such uniformity in everything that they say. Each one was confirming what the other one was talking about, that there's an urgent need for resources to be allocated to initiatives promoting youth entrepreneurship. And Lebogang highlighted that. You have great ideas as money. But not just money, training and support and networks. Another important highlight for me was I think it was Dr. Badou talking about a coordinated effort that demands the inclusion of youth when it comes to climate change entrepreneurship. I love the messages of support, and I think it was echoed by my brother there who spoke about the global goals, and the UN has the 17 global sustainability goals, and I love the messages of support from other organizations and Dalo's project partners, because that's what Goal 17 is all about, partnership for achieving the goals, and this is what we are doing today here, is partnering to achieve many of the goals, and I'm actually quite excited to see how many we would be able to achieve through the Youth Innovation Climate Change Awards. The other thing is, I love what Ms. Badou said, who better than the youth to dream, and this was echoed by Lebogang as well. When we're all young, we have very big dreams, and we dream we can change the world, and then we never do. Something happens to those dreams, they fall by the wayside of the 9-to-5 job. But today we are committing, by being here and to our online audience, we are committing to taking somebody's dream and making it a reality and changing our world. So I want to say well done to all of us, and Dalo and our partners, on being the first to launch these awards and being the first to recognize youth entrepreneurs. But I want to put out a challenge to the international community. Let us not be the only ones that are recognizing youth entrepreneurship in the climate change space. Because today's entrepreneur or inventor is tomorrow's businessman, is tomorrow's employer, is tomorrow's leader, and tomorrow's change maker. We're not only celebrating individuals who come with their families and their communities and themselves, but we are celebrating the future today. So I have to thank a few people. See how quick that was. So I want to thank our project partners, the British High Commission, and on behalf of the Commissioner, Ms. Funzo Badou, thank you so much for being here today. I'd like to thank the Mail and Guardian as the media partner, but the CEO, Ah, there he is. Okay, well, there's a representative at the back. Thank you so much for partnering with Indalo on this. Thank you to all our eminent speakers today who have really embraced and included the youth in the urgent climate change conversation. To all the attendees, I know we have members of the royal households, we've had traditional leaders, the brave people who came here in person today, well done to all of you. To our very impactful virtual audience who are watching us, I hope you're all tweeting me right now. Thank you so much for giving us this platform and this presence and for making us go viral for 2 hours. To the ambitious young entrepreneurs taking the risk every day and getting up and putting their energies to climate change solutions, we support you. We support you. Thank you to Indalo Inclusive and to Travis and his team and their IT platform. They all work silently in the background, and they always make all of us in the spotlight look so good and sound so good. But thank you very much. Your efforts really prop us up. To our greater partnership, greater partners in the conversation on climate change, the UNDP, DFFE, UNEP, Nedbank, Government of Flanders, Old Mutual, the EU. Thank you for helping us to keep the momentum urgent and current on climate change solutions. Thank you to everyone for partnering with us to change the future of the youth by impacting their present. And finally, last but not least, thank you to the Program Director, Vuki Lamini, for teaching me a new word, sexify. I'm going to try and work that in the network session, but thank you. You've done a sterling job. Thank you. I look forward to chatting to every one of you during the networking. To our virtual audience, have a wonderful evening. And I have to say something about COP. It's happening. Watch the space. Yeah, have a lovely weekend.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Candice. Honestly, if I say too much more than that, I would be ruining it. Candice has already said her thanks, and I'd like to thank you once again for respecting us in the event. Thank you for your questioning. Thank you for just being with us for the duration of the event. At this time, I would just like to invite you for, a bit of networking, whatever questions it is that you may have for our valued speakers. Please just make sure that you can consume as much knowledge and sponge as much knowledge as you possibly can with their permission. And yes, please let's go out, let's snack. I was told to be very specific that it's snack, okay? Not meal, snack. And some drinks outside, and let's all get to know each other and share some of our valued, or some of the values that sit in our minds. And once again, to all of our attendees that are with us from online, wherever it is that you are watching from, we'd like to thank you for attending. Please also have one on us wherever it is that you are. Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you so much to our speakers. Thank you.